Welcome to the Crazy Dre Podcast Show, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It's your main man, aka Crazy Crockett, aka Andre's Podcast. Thank you, everybody that's listening to it. Thank you, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Thank you, YouTube. You can find me on YouTube. Subscribe, follow me. Have any questions? Let me know. I can try to answer them for you. This podcast is going to be about Luigi Mangione, the young man who killed the CEO of United Healthcare, Mr. Brian Thompson. Condolences to the family first of Mr. Thompson, his wife and 2 kids, and the rest of the in-laws and his brothers and sisters, if he has any. I want to talk about why I think Luigi snapped. And I'm going to take a different perspective because there's 2 perspectives. One is from people who've been screwed over by the healthcare system, who are applying Mr. Luigi, and there's others who are just gung-ho and saying that Luigi deserves to go to prison and die and everything else with it. But I want to take it to my perspective as a person with a disability and the person that lives with pain when I'm at work and I have to come home after 8 hours of standing and lifting, and I'm in my 40s, and people might ask you, why do you do those type of jobs if you don't have to? Well, one, I kind of have to because the way that I don't learn new information properly, and the speed of the work that I would have to do on a computer or anything I have to learn, I'm a bit too slow. So I'm always reserved to do stuff in a warehouse, factories, unloading, receiving, shipping, and whatever. So, but let's focus on Luigi. Luigi is a 26-year-old kid who graduated from college. He's got multiple degrees, very intelligent, always had an opportunity to progress and advance in life. A young man who was able to learn something, and when he didn't understand it, he could still find someone to help him do or learn the new program or new system or software that he's learning or he wants to learn. Now, most of us understand when you're young, when you have an injury, you can probably recover from that injury. So when you're like 5 or 8 or 15, you have a broken finger, a bloody nose, or the elbow playing basketball, it's going to be a temporary pain. However, Luigi wasn't feeling that temporary pain. He had chronic pain, he had a back surgery, he suffered from a surfing accident, and the bills were probably adding up, and sitting on a remote computer doing his work doesn't really help you just stand or sit down and stand and sit down. And everywhere you walk and everywhere you go, you're going to live with that chronic pain. So it can come and go as it pleases. And I think that the body, the brain snaps. And I think that with him, it snapped. And I think that it's overwhelming for someone that's never had to overcome something that he has no control of. So when you have a pain like that, when you break a bone, when you got screws in your back, you don't have control of your body. Your body has control over you. Same thing with my disability. I cannot have any control of my left hand. So I may not be able to do things that you're able to do at a job or a work site and make extra amount of money. I have to do certain things in life, and those jobs are very not payable. With him, it's a different scenario. He can always find work, he can always find a job, but that pain is always there. My pain comes and goes based on how I stand or how long I stand or how long I have to walk or what kind of jobs I have to do. But with his pain, with chronic pain, it's always going to be a disability that will probably wreck his life the order that he got. If he was to become a 50-year-old man or a 45-year-old man, and he had that type of pain, he could probably live with that pain As you get older, you understand that pain comes with aging. With him, that pain came from an accident. So he can never get rid of that pain. So now he has to change his whole lifestyle, his whole mindset. People keep telling him, "You're doing a great job. Uh, yes, we understand that the healthcare system sucks, and there's nothing that we can do much to do about it." And he can get encouraged by his family, his mom, his dad, his siblings, his cousins, his friends, and that doesn't work. That doesn't work at all. And I think I want to explain that to my point of view. People will tell me I'm a great person because I'm working and I have a disability. And people say, "Oh, you're such an encouraging person. You're putting an example of what people should be working on and how people should be working, even with a disability." But after a while, it becomes really annoying and it becomes really just BS talk. It's what it is. People have the sense of feeling sorry for you, but they don't really understand what you're going through. And I think that with Luigi, he had the same problem issue as well. You can only hear that so many times, and you can complain about your back so many times, and people don't want to hear that either. So I can complain about being disabled, or I hate my life, or people keep looking at me like I'm crazy because I'm walking, wobbling back and forth. Uh, people will people keep talking about how life is so randomly difficult, and I think I lost my train of thought because my computer keeps messing up a little bit. But that only works about being told not to complain or being told that you're doing a great job. Now I want people to really understand that when people say that to you, it becomes really annoying. And when people try to, what happens when you complain about your pain or something about your body? They don't want to hear that either. So at one point of his life, after the injury, he goes through rehab, he does all the right stuff. He's trying to get his bills paid. He's trying to talk to a health department or health insurance to help him pay for his back and his medication. But to all the rest of his friends, they don't want to hear about it. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to hear him complain. They know that he changed, but no one can do anything about it. No one can say, "Well, Luigi, I know you're trying your best. It must be difficult to be in pain." And then they leave. And then you're stuck there by yourself with this pain. And he can't go and do the things that he wanted to do for fun anymore. Like he probably can't surf. He probably can't do, let's say, skateboarding. If he did skateboarding or any athletic stuff, he probably can't really weightlift anymore. And if he does, it's got to be very limited. So everything becomes a challenge for this kid. And his mindset has to change. He went from 26 years old to a 56-year-old. When you progressively age, you can live with that pain. You can become older, and it's okay. And you can and you kind of accept that idea as you get older that you're not 25 years old anymore. But Luigi, he has to skip his late 20s. He has to skip his 30s. He has to skip his 40s. He went from 26 to 56 years old. And I can't explain to people how difficult that is. Like when I was young, I knew I couldn't compete with my friends in basketball or baseball or any sport. Or I couldn't really take chances and do skateboarding or anything like that, because if I broke my right hand and I don't have my left hand doesn't work. You can check this out on YouTube, on Crazy Dre podcast on YouTube. You can see it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm just not gonna lie to you. But you have to understand that a person like me, I've lived my whole life as a person with disability. And there's different people with disabilities who can't use their arms, but they're able to use their brain very well, and they're able to use their hands very well. So their disability is limited, but they're not in pain. And if they are in pain, we don't usually complain about it. One thing about people with disability is that we don't complain about it. And if we do complain about it, we usually complain to the people who are our closest family members. But they don't want to hear it either. They don't want to keep talking about it. What I get a lot is that Jesus created you this way. God made you this way. God created you to make a challenge. You are a gift from God. And that in itself is very annoying, because there has never been a time in my life where God has come down as an angel and say, Andre, you're doing a great job. He has never done that, or she has never done that. So when I hear people say that, I think it's a bit of nuisance. It's a bit irritating. It's a bit obnoxious. So understand that when you're at a state of mind of desperation, you're going to do stupid things. Like, I know in my past, I've said dumb things so that I wouldn't have to go to work at certain places. Because hypothetically, I knew what I was going to say. Subconsciously, I didn't know. Consciously, I didn't know I was going to say it. But subconsciously, I think my subconscious didn't want to be there at all. So it says things out loud. And then I get myself in trouble. And then I'm not working in those places no more. It's a mechanism that I've created in my own mindset to do things or to get out of things without just finding a new place to work. And a lot of times it's difficult for people with disability, especially with my learning disability and my physical disability. It's difficult for us to progress and move on to another job or career or choice of the way to make money, because the options are not there. Other people with disabilities, they don't have their legs or they don't have one arm, their brain is very smart and intelligent. They can adapt to their environment. And I've got to go back to what I meant to say about people with disability. We don't complain. We just live with our disability. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want our bosses to talk about it. But we are being taken advantage out of being great employees. So if you, for example, I work in a place that receiving and shipping, and because I'm responsible, and I have to be responsible because there's not jobs out there for myself to just pick up another job. So I have to be responsible to work in an environment that I don't want to work in. I don't want to do receiving and shipping all the time. I don't want to be lifting gallons of detergent and water and vinegar for a store out of the truck. I don't want to do that. I'm in my 40s. If I'm going to do that, then I'd rather go to the gym and work out, and then make sure that the machines work and I'm not lifting that stuff, and I can stop it any time I want to. But when I have to do receiving and shipping and jobs I don't want to do, it becomes a nuisance. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. That's what's going to be different for Luigi if he doesn't go to jail or prison. Obviously, he's going to prison. But let's say he gets out in 10 years. I don't know. I don't know how his lawyers are going to look at it. They may claim that he was insane for 6 months and he created a manifesto and he was encouraged by Ted Kaczynski, if I'm saying that right, the Unabomber. And just know, Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, his mental disability was that he didn't like the idea of technology changing faster than he could adapt to it. That's my theory about Ted Kaczynski. But with Luigi, you're a 26-year-old kid. You have your whole life looking ahead of you. I don't know if he's married or he's got a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and I don't know if he wants kids at one point in his life, but his life was going to go up and up and up because he graduated and he's got degrees, and he would have made $200,000 a year in a heartbeat. Maybe not in a heartbeat, but he'll get to that point. I'm never going to make that type of money, so I can't complain about my situation. So I should just be happy that I have a job, and that's something that's different than me and him. Where with him, if he was born with a chronic pain, he could adapt to it to a point where at a certain age he would stop complaining about it and understand the medical insurance policies better so he could pay for his medication. But he didn't get to that point because he was never disabled before 23 or 21 or whatever, how old he was when he had that back injury. He just became ill and broke his back. And then one day, everyone told him to like buck up and fight for your life. And that's not fun. And I'm kind of glad that I'm doing a podcast about this because I really want people to understand that life is difficult for people with pain. Life is difficult for disability people, for people with disability. It's not fun. And I go back to this same subject. I really do believe in abortion. I really honestly do. I do not want anybody to have kids with some form of severely disability, to have that child grow up to be an adult, and then figure it out as an adult that he's going to have to live or she's going to have to live with pain or suffering every single day of his life. You able-bodied people have the luxury of being happy, and then when something bad happens to you, you have the luxury of temporary pain, emotional pain, physical pain, but it goes away. With people who are born with disability, that pain doesn't go away. That, especially more emotional pain, because then you realize that you can't do the things that your friends can do. You realize that people don't respect you and look at you in a certain way. They don't have to. They don't have to feel your pain. They just know you as Crazy Dre because you say crazy stuff, and they think that you're funny. And I'm always tiptoe want to do a stand-up comic. I want to do stand-up one of these days, but it can get very, I wouldn't say dark, but it can get really disturbing, funny, where it's not about violence or it's not about weird or some over sexual deviancy. It's not like that, but it can make people feel uncomfortable. and make them laugh at the same time. But my skit wouldn't last that long because people don't want to hear that every single day. Like just like they don't want to hear Bill Burr talk about how much he hates women or how much he complains about women. It's only funny at a certain point, and then it becomes annoying. Like, yeah, we get it. You don't like women. Women screwed you over, and now you're married to a black lady. That's just my theory. He's always liked black ladies, so my theory is incorrect about that, about why he's not married to a white woman. But I'm just making an example out of Bill Burr if I did stand up myself. I could talk about being disabled all the time and make fun of myself and be like In Living Color, TV show in the 90s with Handyman. I could do that. But I couldn't talk about being married or having kids or anything like that because I'm not married, I don't have any kids, and women don't see me that way. They just don't. And if they do, they're very hush-hush, very quiet, very seclusive. They're not going to let you know. They're not going to let me know that they really are attracted to me. They're just not. Honest to God, they're not. But what I'm trying to tell you is that Luigi, he's always going to live with that pain. And there's other people out there who get into car accidents, who get in biking accidents, who get into sports accidents, and they don't kill people. So the real theory is, why did he do it? Could he not man up and deal with the pain and suffering? Was he not masculine enough in his own mindset to get over that pain? That's the question you have to ask. And what a lot of people are concerned about is that because he shot and killed the CEO, Mr. Thompson, people are inspired by this guy. And now the fear is that other people are going to go after insurance companies or other people with power and say, we're not going to take this, and we're going to deal it in our way, and we're going to hurt you physically. That's the concern about this whole thing. It's not really about one isolated moment. It's about everyone else and how they projected and how their mindset thinks. Because everyone knows the medical system stinks in America. I mean, I don't know why I'm losing my voice here, folks, but no one knows why our medical system is so horrible. I don't know why the insurance companies even exist if they're not willing to pay the tab. And I get it. I think you have to understand, if you're a medical insurance company, you have to realize that people don't live forever. So why would you care about paying someone's bill with chronic pain for 35, 40 years? Because they're going to die in 40 years. So you could be helping a person out with pain or with some disability or mental disability. That's why we have homeless people, because they're mentally ill. That's why we have people on drugs, because they're mentally ill. And that's why people are upset about these insurance companies. Some people think it's greed. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. If someone told me that I can get a job at an insurance company and I can run the insurance company making, I'm sure he probably was making maybe, I'm going to say $2 million. I'm just going to roughly say $2 million. I'm sure he makes a lot more than that, Mr. Thompson, at the time when he was alive. But think about this. Mr. Thompson was probably, we're going to throw a number out there. He's making about $2 million a year. If someone told me that I could run Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan and was going to make $500,000 a year, and they said, your goal is to to make sure that all these insurance claims are at a status quo. And the status quo is that if they're not in the hospital receiving medical attention, then you reject that claim. And that's kind of the reason why they rejected Luigi's claim, because he was not in the hospital. And all they told me to do is that when someone's not in the hospital, you reject that claim. And if someone is in the hospital, you accept that claim. But I tell you what else we're going to help you, Mr. Crazy Dre. We're going to put you on. We're going to show you how to use this AI interpreter machine to reject or to accept claims. And that's basically what they were doing. They were making machines or technology, AI technology, to reject claims. So if someone's going to pay me $500,000 a year, which is very, very low in that position, but I'm using myself for an example of someone who's not educated, college educated, someone that would lose my academic scholarships in a heartbeat, because all the classes would be way over my head. I would not be able to write 20-page essay or 20-page paper on insurance or policies and all that. But if someone's going to pay me $500,000 to do that, to reject or to accept a claim, I'm not going to say no. But I'm going to tell you this, though. Because I'm disabled, I'd be more sympathetic. And if I was disabled, I would help people with the possibility of accepting the claims. But here's the kicker: I would get fired for that, because all these insurance companies that I work for would be knocking on my door and say, or knocking on my office door and say, "Hey, we saw that you accepted over 65% of these claims, and we agreed that we would only accept 30% of those claims, but you did a 180 on us, and we don't want to pay for those claims." But I'm like, "Hey man, I'm disabled. I get where he's coming from, or I get where she's coming from, and I get where that person's coming from. And I can't say no, because that'd be kind of a hypocrite. I'd be a hypocrite. It'd be dumb for me not to help people with disability. It'd be dumb for me to win the lotto and not help people with disability. That's how it's different with people like me, who are disabled, who are able to have power, and people with power with no disability. Like, I think people don't realize that true presidents were disabled as being president. JFK and FDR. FDR had polio, I think, and JFK had something going on with his arthritis. Everything was just messed up. But it's ironic that FDR helped America get out of the he helped America get out of the recession of 1929, the depression of the 20s and 30s, late 20s, October 29 or 30 of 1929, and he helped get America out of the depression. Well, it was because a lot of it had to do with the war, World War II. But that's another story. But JFK, it's ironic that he was the president of the United States during the Civil Rights Movement, and then he was also going to reject the idea of going to Vietnam and getting into that war. But he was assassinated. So it's ironic that the two presidents who helped in the 20th century progress were to disable people. And that's something that, I mean, I'm going everywhere right now. I'm just like, these ideas and thoughts are just coming to my brain right now. And that's how my brain really thinks sometimes, that things come to me. But that's something that most people don't understand. They're never gonna understand that. That sometimes it takes someone with a disability to open the eyes of everyone else. And Luigi was in the right place at the wrong time. Well, when I say right place, right time, I meant to say wrong place, the wrong time, because he happens to be disabled, who basically assassinated a CEO. He assassinated. So it's basically the wrong place, the wrong time for Mr. Thompson. And unfortunately, this case is going to lose this case is going to lose its momentum for Luigi and all the supporters, because their insurance companies are probably not going to change. But I hope American people just don't go crazy. I hope this doesn't turn out to be another Columbine moment where some two kids who weren't included in their high school were kind of weird in 1999, or I think it was 1999, and then they shut up all these kids in Colorado at school. And then what happened was the rest of every other school in the United States started getting shot up for a good amount of years in a row. Or not in a row, but a good amount of schools were getting shot up. So that's the concern. The concern is that the public needs to kind of understand that this is a one case scenario. This kid snapped. He never understood what pain was until he got pain in the back of his back, and he had surgery. He's got screws on his back, and now he has to live with his pain for the rest of his life. And he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison. He might get out in 15 years. I don't know. Good behavior. I mean, insanity, I guess. But there you have it. I mean, I just think it's just, I had to do a podcast about this because I wanted the people, I started this podcast for people with disability, especially for men with disability, especially men who are born with disability, but it's difficult to find other men with birth disability because we don't really talk about it. We don't elaborate with each other. We just kind of distance ourselves from each other. That's different. That's a different concept for people with disability. We're not like the Black Lives Matters. We don't have the LGBTQ plus minus hashtag whatever you want to call it. We don't have those social groups. We don't have those social moments. We just don't do that. Just don't. But thank you for listening to my podcast. I gotta go. It's been about 33 minutes. I hope everyone has a good time, good life, good anything that is happening out there, folks. I hope you take care of yourself. If you know that someone's suffering, and you know someone that's not in the right head, their moods have changed over time, make contact. Make a lot of contact with them. And a lot of times that's really what they want, is that human contact. No one should suffer or be in pain by themselves. And no one should be a consequence of someone's bad behavior, which was what happened to Mr. Thompson. Again, support to his family, his friends, his kids. He was just in the wrong place, the wrong time, wrong guy. It wasn't his fault. So, peace, love, and talk to you soon, kiddos. All right, I'm out of here.